Uh, Good morning to you and the viewers. Uh, as part of the turnaround vision of the South African Police Service, we did a root cause analysis and we identified that there was a backlog at forensic services. And then the National Commissioner, General Mohlala, appointed me in April 2020 this year to ensure that this backlog is addressed.
The question, General, is how extensive is the backlog? The information at our disposal is that there are well over 100,000 of these samples that still haven't been processed. If you and I agree, at least on principle, that it's incredibly important that as a first step, this is done properly to ensure that survivors of gender-based violence have any kind of justice, you'll agree that it's incredibly worrying that so many of these samples are still essentially gathering dust somewhere in a shelf.
Yeah, one of the strategies that the South African Police Service management has actually implemented to address this challenge. The National Commissioner has allocated an additional 250 million to Division Forensic Services so that all the equipment that needs to be saved and maintained, including the critical consumables that are needed to process DNA, are actually procured. And we are working closely with the National Prosecuting Authorities to prioritize all the cases that are at an advanced stage within the criminal justice system cluster.
That's good and well, but why was the situation allowed to get to this point before these interventions were introduced?
Like I indicated, that I was appointed in April 2020 this year to ensure that there is a turnaround impact on this issue. And so far, we are also, as part of addressing this challenge, we have actually allocated a dedicated overtime and dedicated capacity to ensure that all the prioritized cases are actually addressed with the National Prosecuting Authority.
So your appointment is now 8 months in. You're telling me you haven't been able to ascertain yet why we're here to begin with. How are you then informed on how we should move forward?
Yes, you must understand part of the challenge is that when you deal with the issues of contract management, in order to prevent irregular and wasteful expenditure, you need to ensure that because it's a process that is dependent on our supply chain processes. So as a South African Police Service, we want to do things in the correct way to ensure that not only are we procuring equipment and consumables, but we procure those equipment and consumables that are actually fit for purpose to ensure that the products that we will provide to the NPA and to the court it's of quality nature.
Okay, let's hone in on these procurement processes. And if it appears that I'm coming down hard on you, it's because I'm sure you'll be able to agree with me that this is just an unnecessary injustice. Anecdotally, we can mention people who rely incredibly on the work that is meant to be done so that justice can be meted out. In fact, in August, there was a 5-year-old girl, we're told, who was brutally murdered, allegedly, and raped by a man who's actually out on bail. How do we proceed on cases like that when it appears just even the groundwork hasn't all been done? But you mentioned procurement processes. We understand there's been a mismanagement of some of these processes leading to this problem. What is being done to hold those people accountable?
The National Commissioner, including the management of South African Police Service, has adopted an approach of ensuring that all those that are involved in any irregularities or of any corrupt-related activities are actually faced their day in disciplinary matters. I think we have seen that most of those that were involved were actually subjected to our disciplinary process to ensure that the South African Police Service is holding accountable to all those. But on the issue of the priority cases, we are working very closely with the National Prosecuting Authority. We work closely with them to ensure that we meet on a regular basis, and all the cases that are of priority nature to the NPA, we prioritize them.
How many people have been charged or arrested, General?
You will see that in the past few weeks, there are several people that have received, sentences, especially people that are in cases that are related to gender-based violence-related cases. So we are working very closely with the FCS to ensure that, because as Division Forensic Services, we provide the products to the investigators. In the main, especially our FCS units, I'm working very closely with General Linda, who is the head of the FCS, to ensure that also together with the NPA, we prioritize all these cases that actually are at an advanced stage within the court process.
Perhaps let me be more specific. How many people within SAPS who you've identified are responsible for the mismanagement of procurement processes have been charged or arrested?
Unfortunately, I'm here to answer on matters relating to forensic services, but not for the South African Police Services.
But I mean, if you are trying to have interventions to try ensure that our forensic services systems are efficient, surely there has to be some kind of accountability process for those people who are responsible for the oversight of the inefficiencies in the procurement processes, no?
Yes, you are correct, but I think that is not in my space to comment on those issues because I'm the Divisional Commissioner for Forensic Services. So my area of focus is to ensure that the Division Forensic Services, through the turnaround strategy or our corporate renewal strategy, that all these backlog cases are actually addressed. And within Division Forensic Services, we have actually put governance processes to ensure that we actually prevent any irregular or wasteful expenditure from happening.
Right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks for your time and for helping us understand what you know. That there is the South African Police Divisional Commissioner for Forensic Services, Lieutenant General Michael Mohlala.